Back on the PlayStation 2, the narrative-driven butterfly effect genre was born with Indigo Prophecy. This unique style of storytelling has continued to grow and evolve over the years. With the casting of Frank Stone from Supermassive Games, that legacy continues to live on.
What if the owner's a deranged serial killer who collects wayward teenagers and turns them into antiques?
Then we hit the jackpot.
Horror games to me have always been unique in the visual department. How do you go about creating a dark atmosphere full of suspense around every corner? The casting of Frank Stone is a great example of how it's done. Light and shadow are crucial for setting the tone for the dark and eerie atmosphere. From the highly detailed character models and environments that span three distinct eras, the 60s, 80s, and the present day, it looks great. With it using Unreal Engine 5, this game might be the best example of what it can do, at least on consoles. Light sources crest around the characters, creating stunning silhouettes. Some of the scenes look nearly photorealistic at times. The flashlight casts shadows from every single object in the game, no matter how big or small they are. And when it comes to the characters, this is the best Supermassive have created so far. It's not perfect though. The hair rendering still has some issues with jagged edges and shimmer, and the mouth movements are just as strange as ever. They still have a little bit too much tooth to gum ratio. During the sections of the game that turn to the darker side, it creates a sense of mystery in the world with this green essence floating around the environment. While at other times there is this deep red cast over the entire scene and characters. It just looks great, letting you know that something wicked this way comes. As far as the performance and resolution, it's 30 frames a second and it looks sharp and clean. The only major issue though is film grain setting. Make sure you keep this setting off because for some strange reason it causes screen tearing and other issues. And the only way you can fix the screen tearing is to turn it off and restart the game.
Time to head on out and shoot the shit out of this thing.
If you have played a Supermassive game before, you know how the gameplay is. It's a simple choice system that either leads to you living or dying, with button prompts and some quick time events. However, with the game's ties to Dead by Daylight, you have skill checks, the same ones you use to rebuild the generators in Dead by Daylight. It also has a new camera system and a few features that make it better for exploring the world. While the new camera is nice at times, I do miss the sweeping cinematic horror angles, but this does work much better for exploration as you can turn the camera and look for collectibles and documents to read. The collectibles are pretty nice too, especially if you're a fan of Dead by Daylight. You're going to enjoy finding them as they are the killers from the game, and it's just a nice touch. One of the things that helps with the exploration in this game compared to the past ones is that there is a prompt on the bottom of the screen that lets you know whether or not you're progressing to the next part of the story or just opening up a new door. Also, I find this to be a big plus for the game. It's shorter than The Quarry and the other Supermassive games out there. It makes it a bit more enjoyable when you're going back and replaying, trying to see what choices you made will affect the story and outcome. One thing they have gotten great at is hiding whether or not you're making the right decision to keep the characters alive. It is a step up in gameplay compared to past titles, with a bit more flexibility in the controls and not knowing if you're making the right choice or not.
Sam, you really think it's actually cursed? That's not real.
In games like this, voice acting is key. It is one of the most important aspects, and it has to feel natural and have a flow to it without too many pauses, because it's a playable movie. Music is also extremely important, just like a film, helping to create that tension and fear as the music builds. Now, the voice acting is spot on, even during the purposeful bad acting scenes during the filming of the movie Murder Mill that they are making. And the music hits those notes right on time. When you're running from Frank Stone, the music just adds to the intensity of those scenes. As I said earlier, the casting of Frank Stone is set in the Dead by Daylight universe. It expands on the popular multiplayer game by explaining some of the things, while leaving other questions still to be answered. The story starts in 1963 as an infant is kidnapped and the deputy goes to investigate the steel mill. Then the game takes you into the 1980s when a group of young kids are trying to make a horror film. You also have the present time set in a huge estate as a woman named Augustine is trying to purchase the film reels from the movie that the kids made. Everything revolves around that incident at the steel mill during the 60s. With Frank Stone, and it goes far beyond the kidnapping and the other mysterious disappearances at the time. I think this is one of Supermassive's best stories since Until Dawn, with its ties to Dead by Daylight making it even more interesting, creating a universe of horror instead of a one-off project. Overall, the casting of Frank Stone takes everything we love about narrative-driven horror games and ramps it up with great visuals, more involved gameplay, and a good story. Supermassive has delivered a great game here, at least for the fans of the genre. Whether you're a fan of these type of games or you're new to them, this one is worth checking out, especially at $40. But in the end, it's all about your choice. Will you play or pass? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all later.